All right. I just got a message on my live stream. Says I have excellent connection. So I assume we're live. Now this is a new breaking story. I think this surfaced for the first time couple days ago. I'm seeing February 6th, February 7th. Maybe 24 hours. Most of these media outlets have recent uploads. Okay, most have recent uploads. How many of you heard about this story? These people, they call them neo-Nazis. I call them white supremacists. They wanted to attack the power grid in Baltimore, Maryland. Attack the power grid in the middle of winter. They wanted to freeze the black people. Could you imagine? As cold, that cold front that just passed through, that cold was painful. It was painful. I work on, I work on a dock. From time to time, I have to feel a breeze. And we didn't go outside during that cold front. We stayed inside. We didn't care if we didn't ship dunnage, whatever. That was dangerously cold. No doubt, from what I understand, that is when they wanted to do this. They wanted to try to kill, what is it? Baltimore. What's the population there? That's a large city, if I'm not mistaken. Baltimore is a large city. Not too large. It's not too large, not too small. If this is the inner city population, then it's fairly large. 576,000. A lot of cities have a population this size, but when you include the suburbs, it's well over 1 million, close to 2 million. So I will assume that they're just talking about, they're not including the suburbs of Baltimore. And if, looking at the map, that's what it looks like. They're just giving you the population. They're not including the suburbs. Okay, so this is a large city, but they wanted to target, I believe, the inner city, from what I understand, because they wanted to target black people.
We're learning more about a would-be attack on Baltimore's power grid.
Federal agents say that they've stopped the attack that a Catonsville woman and a Florida man were planning, both now in custody.
And now some law enforcement experts are warning this kind of attack is becoming more common. Keith Daniels joins us live with what we're learning tonight. Keith?
See, this is what I've been talking about. And I know a lot of people are uncomfortable with race-related subjects, but I see a pattern emerging here, especially since these recent terror attacks. They're becoming more frequent, and they are largely being motivated by this white replacement theory. People, that theory is incredibly flawed. Incredibly flawed. Okay, let's deal with it after or at the end of this video.
Well, Mary and Kai, all bright downtown at this hour, but if that had happened, maybe not. Now, investigators say the suspects in this case had a personal and online relationship. They were arrested last week, and that federal complaint unsealed today. It's outlined in the federal complaint: 2 suspected domestic terrorists, a Catonsville woman, and Florida man accused of plotting to attack a Baltimore power grid. The suspects identified as Sarah Beth Clendaniel and Brandon Russell.
These people are lunatics. These people are lunatics. We need to deal with how crazy these people are. We have to deal with it, man. And shame on anybody that is not demanding an option of a separate state. You don't want to be. Now, I know what people think. Well, if you're in a black state, they'll just attack the whole state. Well, they can attack a city. Several cities, the inner city, almost all black. Baltimore is one of those cities. Detroit got several cities like that. And they do get targeted. You're going to get targeted anyway. If somebody on the planet wants to do something to you, they're going to find you. They'll find a way to get there. Okay, so what we're dealing with is crazy people in the world. Crazy people in the world. And at least in our own state, this would be less likely. It would be less likely. We would have armed forces patrolling our borders at all times, 24/7. And it would only be right. It would only be just to fully equip us with the capability to do so when you clearly have a pattern of terrorist attacks against black people. I don't believe people are putting this situation in the proper context. Black people are under a string of terrorist attacks, racist white supremacists launching attacks, and they are targeting masses of black people. Say it with me. That is what's going on, and it is gaining momentum, has been since these recent terror attacks. We'll go over them briefly at the end of this video.
The criminal complaint alleges Clandaniel and Russell conspired and took steps to shoot multiple electrical substations in the Baltimore area, aiming to, quote, completely destroy this whole city.
But prosecutors say the plan was stopped by federal law enforcement, helped by local agencies, including Maryland State Police and Baltimore County Police. Investigators say Clandaniel with Russell and
hats off to all of the righteous police officers and law enforcement officers. I'm not including the crooked, corrupt cops. Hats off to the righteous who helped make this happen. Because you got to understand, a lot of these police departments are flooded, according to the FBI, flooded with white supremacist gangs, which makes it less likely that they'll be able to execute something like this. There's been times when those in law enforcement they've been crooked cops and they've participated in this behavior. Okay, this is serious. And anybody talking crazy about us not deserving are you crazy? Not only is it a debt, just like several other debts that have been repaid, it's a legit debt. Not only that, we're dealing with our personal safety here. We continue to be terrorized. And with the social media, they're trying to make it a trend to record these terrorist acts. And they're targeting large masses of people. Look, black Americans, at least the black Americans, we don't think like that. Let's just go attack masses. And there are plenty of white towns across this country, especially here in Ohio. There's small white towns all over the place. A lunatic Negro could go out there, set off all kinds of bombs, do all kinds of stuff. Black people have been in the military. There are plenty of black people who know how to do some old crazy stuff. They ain't doing it. We're the ones being targeted. This is that trickle down sick demonic population in here in America. That population of people needs to be dealt with because these are the domestic terrorists. These people descended from the sickest of people, passed down the most sick type of mentality to these people. What in the world what would that do for you to attack a whole city full of people? You attack kids, babies, the elderly. Okay, we got some very sick people in this world, man, and there's nothing you can do about it. I don't want to hear no lecture about, oh, America has a long way to go. There's still a lot of work to do. Man, to hell with the work. Give me my state. Give me my check. Give me my state. I'm tired of working. All this work, and you telling me this terrorism is just becoming more refined. The old school, the hillbilly way of lynching, catching some black person alone somewhere and lynching them, them days is over. Now they're just getting more sophisticated. Come on, man. So how you gonna fix this? How you gonna fix this? What you gonna do? Let's talk about what we gonna do. What kind of idea you got? Let us hear it. You notice people don't ever put ideas out there. They always just say, America has a lot of work to do with the race problem, with racism. What's the work? What work you talking about? You can start by removing a bunch of this racist propaganda off the internet. And most definitely adult entertainment that is riddled with blatant, overt racism. What are you talking about? You know, you don't want to do nothing. You don't want to change nothing about society. So what is you talking about? What work? You just hoping and dreaming. Stop. Give me my money. Give me my land. I'm not with this nonsense no more. Or trying to work it out. Man, I'm not interested in bringing multiple generations of black people in no sick land like this where they're being terrorized. You got to understand, even if you're not personally injured, this messes with your mind, where people don't quite feel safe. About to attack a whole city. Okay, let's finish this. I don't want to ramble too much. We just now getting started. But we got to go over some more stuff, man. Get comfortable. Watch this video in increments because it'll probably be long. Okay, 30-minute increments.
An alleged neo-Nazi leader wanted to use guns to attack 5 substations, including this one in Norrisville and 2 others in the vicinity of Baltimore City. Richard,
do you know how long that their power would have been out? If anybody knows how long their power would have went out after an attack like this, using guns, attacking a power grid, because I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I don't know how long that would take to restore, but I would imagine it would take a long time. People would most definitely freeze, especially how cold it was.
Had they been successful, it could have been very problematic for Baltimore.
Is a retired FBI special agent with an expertise in counterterrorism. Colco says, unfortunately, attacks on electrical grids have become quite common, plunging thousands of Americans into darkness last year. Colco says for those aimed at doing harm, substations are ideal so-called soft targets.
A lot of these substations, they're in places that are kind of off the beaten path. They're not necessarily protected. They don't have a security system that can immediately stop this attack.
Prosecutors say the suspects in this case wanted to call attention to their racial and ethnic violent extremist beliefs. Clendaniel is seen here wearing tactical gear containing a swastika, holding a rifle, and with a pistol in a drop holster on her left leg. Investigators say the suspect...
Now, I'm sure some people might believe that this was orchestrated. Some people might believe this is orchestrated. But why would you? Why would you fake something like this? Why would you want to make people even believe that they were about to be victims of a terrorist attack?
Had been planning to attack Maryland substations since June last year.
The FBI believes this was a real threat. Our hope is that it would have been minimal, but we couldn't be able to tell you what that result would look like.
While these people are in jail right now, they're not the last people that are going to try and do this. So law enforcement is counting on those tips that we've heard for so long. See something, say something.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. But no, law enforcement might not catch them. They might not catch them. Okay? Then what? Then what? Something else got to change. Something got to be done about this. I mean, let's talk about it. This is a stressful country. Very stressful. What is this? Attack a power grid? That lunatic who went in that grocery store in Buffalo and shot all those people. I think it was all black people. I think it was like one lady, she looked white, maybe biracial. And I think she was like one of the first people killed. I think she got shot outside. That was a part of a string of racist attacks. I went over in a video here online. These were in, I think, was it Austria? Bevik. What's that guy's name? Let's look it up. Anders Breivik. He carried out a terrorist attack in 2011. This was a racist terrorist attack, and it was fueled by the white replacement theory. It was fueled by the white replacement theory. This led to another one about 9 years later. And he killed like 57 people. Anders Breivik, I think, killed like 77 people. Bunch of people injured. And both were fueled by the white replacement theory. The racist, white supremacist terrorist attack in Buffalo, New York was fueled, according to his own manifesto. And there was other guy, Breivik had one as well. They all talked about the white replacement theory. Tucker Carlson, several others talk about the white replacement theory. And it is fueling a bunch of terrorist attack, racist terrorist attack. Now, this guy, the other terrorist who was inspired by Breivik, by Anders Breivik, I think it was like 9 years later, he committed this terrorist attack, and he filmed it. He live streamed it. Listen to me. He live streamed it, just like the guy in Buffalo live streamed it. So with the internet has reinforced racism in a covert way, and really overt. They're all over these message boards and whatnot. They try to speak in code or whatever, but it's still just as strong. It's just more sophisticated. We're not stupid. Don't tell me I'm pulling no race card. Don't start with that. Racism has simply become a lot more sophisticated. Now, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of good-hearted, upright white people. And we're going to miss our fun white people. You know, most black people, we really enjoy the company of white people. We don't feel threatened. Most black people, they don't feel threatened around white people. And most black people, they find white people funny. Okay? We're going to miss you. I'm going to miss all of my good white folk. But I will have to say bye if we get our own land, our own state. Now listen, I'm not an activist. This is just my idea. if somebody were to ask me, hey, what is your solution? What do you think should be done? I would just share with them what I think makes sense. This is what I think makes the most sense. There should be a separate state for whites, one for whites, one for blacks, and let the rest be mixed. Yes, stop with this race phobia. Stop with this. Oh, but that's race and race separation. Stop. The whole world's separated. Separation might help us a little bit. If you haven't noticed, integration has been a failure. It's been a success in many ways, but it has not eradicated the most evil force that we wanted to eradicate. That was the plan. Look, blacks and whites have always gotten along. All during slavery, don't get it twisted, blacks and whites have always gotten along. Always, always, always. There have always been blacks and whites who've gotten along, regardless of what type of relationship it was, regardless of if the black was submissive, if it was a dominant, submissive type of relationship, whatever. They got along, and they both were comfortable with the relationship. Whites and blacks getting along ain't nothing new, man. I try to tell people, try to explain to people, slavery was a time of integration. And we were integrated tighter during slavery than we are right now. Now, is that not true? Is that not true? We were very integrated, living in their homes. If not inside their homes, right outside their homes. They saw us every day, all day. You don't think any of those white people wanted to have a respectful discussion or conversation or relationship to some degree with somebody that they had to see all day, every day? Of course, plenty of them got along. Okay, but let's not play dumb. During the 60s, our goal, our wish was the dream, the Martin Luther King dream. Was it? Wasn't it? That's why that speech was so popular. Because everybody felt that in their heart. Yeah, I had that dream too. Oh yeah. Well, we live in a world where there's no racism. No racism. And everybody's colorblind. That was our fantasy. And look, it's okay to admit that it didn't work. That's okay. They even conducted that doll study, that doll test. What was that, 2015? Got the exact same results that they got under segregation. The Kenneth Clark doll test. That was done in the 50s, right? 40s or 50s, somewhere in there. And it was the main reason why schools became integrated. It was based on that. Like, hey, racism destroys black kids' minds. We got the same results in like 2011, 2015. They conducted and got the same exact results. Right? Our goal, what does that tell you? That tell you that blacks have felt like they've been in the same type of country for that period of time. Okay, so it's more superficial changes. And I'm talking about comparing today to Jim Crow. Okay, but we're still largely segregated right now. But I want a state. I want a nation, right? My dream is to live in a world like white people live in. Okay? I'm not ashamed to say I desire to exist in the world like that. Yeah, I want to exist in a world where I don't have to worry about no racism in no way, shape, form, or fashion. You know, I don't even want to worry about it. Okay. And I don't think that you should or can deny any group of people the desire to want to govern themselves. That's a natural thing for any group to want to do. It's not a crime. It's not rebellion. It's not racist. It's not anti-white. It's a basic human desire. And anybody who try to say we're wrong for wanting to govern ourselves, that's just a modern way of still trying to treat us like slaves. Everybody else can want to govern themselves except for you. No, govern and police ourselves. Now, this video has gone on for too long because I still got a lot of stuff to go over. Still got a lot. Now listen, we are in the early stages of a bunch of racist terrorist attacks. You have no idea how many racists were motivated by that Buffalo mass shooting. That a lot of people tried to sweep under the rug. That shooting sparked even some sarcastic remarks. That was some of the most disturbing footage I've ever seen in my life. But that is fuel. It serves as fuel for the sickest of minds. And there seems to be a number of them in this country still. Okay? Now listen, you want black people to accept that we're all messed up in the head. And listen, let's accept that. You want us to accept that we act crazy, that we're emotional, that we're quick to call something racist. Let's admit to all that. I don't care. Now, I don't speak for all black people. I'm not speaking for all black people right now. I'm speaking for myself. Okay, I'll confess to all of that. Yeah, we're kind of crazy. We quick to want to smack somebody in the face for getting disrespectful. I've noticed that. I've seen the same thing you've seen. Black people on average seem quicker to want to slap the taste out of your mouth for even remotely talking sideways. And we are defensive. I'll accept all that. I'll accept all that. See, there's nothing wrong with admitting if there's something crazy permeating through your group. You may as well admit it. Everybody can see it. So this is a problem that's not going nowhere. There's not going to be no race-free society. No, I give up on integration. And I say that with a heavy heart. I truly do. I have white family members. White people, listen, I don't have to explain that I'm not racist against white people. I personally have never known a black person who's hated white people. The black people I know admire white people to a level I can't explain right now, that many of you know. Yeah, no, it has nothing to do with no hatred. It has to do with not wanting to live in chaos, in and around chaos, where you're targeted by lunatics like this, who would be so sick to target and this is nothing new. Like I said, we all know several black towns have been attacked, poison the water and all kinds of stuff. Okay, you're tired of black Americans. You don't want to be around. Well, government, don't you think it's smart? Hey, all the white people who want to live with only white people, hey, move to this state. Move to this state. You don't think that's fair? You don't think that makes sense? Maybe it's just me. I think that makes all the sense in the world. Okay, You're fed up. You can't take it. You can't live or you hate black people. But you know, these people are so crazy. They wouldn't be content with living in an all-white world. They would leave. I'm just talking about these lunatics, these particular lunatics. I'm talking about the racist white supremacists, these types of lunatics. They would leave their all-white state to attack black people. If they're doing stuff like this, these are real bona fide terrorists. Now, you had a couple cases that surfaced here. Like I said, this is Black History Month. I've never really been a supporter of Black History Month, I'll be honest. Now, I don't mean that. I'm heavy into history. Very deep in history. But I never really, supported the idea of Black History Month because it's almost insulting. Like, look, I don't research my history on a certain month. Who does that? I research my history every day. Well, not every day, but most definitely most days out of the week and most months out the year. Making a month, make it seem like I'm supposed to ignore it and pretend like, what am I supposed to detach? How you going to detach from your history 11 months out of the year? Like, I don't get the logic behind it. But anyways, let me move on with this. This was crazy. And there's some other things that happened. Black History Month just started 7 days ago. We're a week into it. That's that same story. There was some other stuff that happened. Y'all hear about that Asian girl got stabbed in the head? This 56-year-old woman just started stabbing her in the head. Stabbing her head. This recently happened, from what I understand. Maybe about a week ago. It just doesn't sound like the right. Racist message found in Eureka High restroom. This type of stuff always happens. They shouldn't make articles out of stuff like this. I mean, I can understand it putting pressure on would-be racists, but a lot of them just get off on the attention. Oh, look, I made the news. I wrote something in the bathroom stall.
Are upset and want change after another racist incident.
Mercedes McKay joins us in studio to explain what happened and the larger issue at hand. Mercedes.
Kelly and Mike, the principal of Eureka High School, wrote an email.
Listen, man, I know it's bad, but look, I don't care what you have to say. Make your best racist joke. Yeah, I'm a monkey, low IQ. Just get it out your system. I still don't care. That's the part of me that says this should not be news. Because it's like giving airtime to the most lowly, low IQ degenerate walking the earth. Why? That's just an avenue for them to get attention.
To families, saying the school discovered a video of racist messages on school property. I spoke with one parent who's also a former Rockwood School District student. She says change needs to happen now.
It just doesn't sound like the Rockwood that many of us knew and was familiar with.
When mom of two and former student Letitia Smith heard what happened at Eureka High School Thursday, her initial thought was sadness.
A lot of times I don't understand, even as an adult, where some of this hate is coming from.
School leaders.
Stop trying to understand. Aren't you tired? Aren't you tired by now? I want to speak to the portion of the black population who tired of trying to understand. I don't care to understand. You know, I've thought about this. I don't want to understand how a lunatic thinks. That would probably make me a lunatic myself. To understand why they get off on stuff like this. So just give up. You got your own life to worry about. Worry about what some doofus thinks about you. Who cares?
Leaders say a video was posted in a private group on social media of two restroom stall doors marked white toilet and color toilet.
Yeah. Yeah, they marked on the bathroom stalls colored toilet and white toilet.
It's coming from.
School leaders say a video was posted in a private group on social media of 2 restroom stall doors marked white toilet and color toilet. Eureka High School's principal said they investigated immediately and confirmed the stickers were no longer there. The video was taken down and the student who posted it has been identified and punished. Smith says it's affecting her kids' education.
To hear them say things like,
No, it's not. No, I got faith. I got confidence in the average black and white child. Most of them don't care. Most of them will say the same thing I'm saying. That it's just some lowly degenerate that nobody wants to be around anyways. Because you got to really be a weirdo, a dirtbag type of degenerate to get off on something like that. To write something, anything derogatory on a bathroom wall. That's just something that a doofus does. And there are plenty of them. They're at my job, writing on stalls and responding, having conversations on the walls, goofballs. So no, look, everybody is not disturbed. And okay, stop projecting us as all sensitive. No, we're all not one way. Think every black person in the world is somehow traumatized by your goofball statements. Don't nobody care about your little racist statements, your little racist games, colored toilet, white toilet. Get out of here. It's not that serious. And it's really not. You should look at it like that rather than be heartbroken and distraught, rather than allow something that goofy to disturb your mood, cause you to lose your cool. Okay, am I making sense here?
They can't wait to graduate. They want to leave the district. It really saddens me.
Parents say the issue isn't new. 5 on Your Side has covered multiple stories in recent years with families and parents who say racism is a problem in the Rockwood School District.
I've experienced things that I would have never imagined. From just the everyday, oh, you don't have a dad because you're black jokes, to being called the N-word multiple times.
Rockwood has a new...
What school is this? Rockwood? Eureka High School? What? Rockwood, where is that? Let's find it. I gotta find out where this is. What type of school is this? This couldn't happen when I was in school. Wasn't nobody making jokes like that when I was in school. And I went to white schools. I went to 2 white schools. It wasn't long, but I went there. It was long enough for them to say something crazy. Nobody said nothing crazy like that. Probably to each other. What? Okay. Okay, I guess. It's not too many black people there. Hey, no. This must be a whole new era. That's what this is. That's what this is. You gotta forgive me. You gotta forgive me. Because back in my day, man, like, it just didn't happen like that. The social media has made people real bold, I've noticed. All right, let's finish this.
New superintendent this year, Curtis Kane. He sent an email to district staff and families on Friday calling the incident disturbing. And that, quote, actions and speech that degrade an individual's human dignity have no place in our schools and fly in the face of the work we do every day to promote a culture of understanding, respect, and kindness. While Smith says it's disheartening, she's still holding on to hope.
At the end of the day, everything that's happening is hurting children. Then there has to be a way that we can come together.
No, a way that we can come together. Yeah, we have to cut this out. I don't want to come together with lunatics. What are you going to do? Take them to the African American Museum? Oh, I know your problem. You just don't understand black history. You don't understand what we went through. Yeah, they do. And they get off It's like some psychological pleasure they get out of the thought of dealing with you the way that their ancestors dealt with black people. These are just flipping lunatics. Why do you want to understand that? Why would you want to come to? No, I don't want to come together with these people. No, I don't think so. We're talking about a specific group of lunatics that not even decent white people want to be around. Do you understand that? Let's look at this. Let's be smart here. Y'all talking this coming together stuff. You saying you want to live in a world where you never have racists, where there are no racists nowhere at all. That's impossible. It's impossible. As long as there are differences, there's going to be a segment of any given group. There's going to be a segment of any given group who uses their physical identity as something to rally around, as a basis for coming together and acting as a group. It's just human nature. We need to accept that. You can't get rid of this sect of people. You just can't. How long have they been there? They didn't start in America. They didn't start in America. Now, y'all say that we slaves, and so we don't have memory. We don't have a history. We don't know where we're from. So we don't know what happened in Africa or wherever we were. If we were here in the United States, we don't have knowledge of that history before Europeans came over. Isn't that right? For black Americans only. Well, I'm only speaking for black Americans, or as a black American. But in Europe, there's always been those psychopaths. When they used to get off on chopping heads off and these public mutilations and all these different forms of public torture, that was crazy. It's not so much about racism as it is that there's always been this bloodthirsty set who just got off on harming people. Am I making sense? Is that true or not? Now, there have been some mass shootings where black people have shot white people, if I'm not mistaken, right? What was the name of that? Who was that? Oh, I forgot his name. It was on a train. What was that guy's name? What was that guy's name? It was a black man who went and said, I shot them because they were white. I don't know why I'm thinking of Reginald Denny. It's not Reginald Denny. I have to come back to that. But you know the story I'm talking about. You know the case that I'm talking about. I think there's been a couple of them where they went out and said that, or they went out and attacked white people in some way. You know what? I tried to look this up earlier. Attacks on white people. I couldn't find them. I know that attacks white people. Man, black man. Okay. These cases where blacks attack whites. What do we have here? Oh no, anti-LGBT. Oh boy. Okay, I forgot it. I don't know it. So share it with me, and if I see it, I will come back to it. But we really don't need to get into it anyway. It really don't matter. I believe situations like that are different. They're not justified. They're different. They're not justified. They're different. They're not acceptable. They're different. There's different motive. There's different motive. Now, in general, overall, blacks don't commit racist terrorist attacks. Black Americans. Like, we don't even try to do stuff like that. And there's so many white towns. You could easily do something if you were that crazy. Are there any cases? Okay, let's look at them. Black terrorist racist attacks. Because if it's happened, and then the Buffalo shooting comes up. Okay, see, I can't find none. Do you see what? This is why I'm asking. Every time I try to look up, okay, probably somebody may have told me about who is this guy. You know what I'm talking about. He went on a train and he shot a bunch of white people. He said, I had to kill them because they were evil or something. Isn't that right? What was that guy? Colin Ferguson. Oh my God. How did I forget that name? I don't know how I forgot that name. Thank you, 1-2. Colin Ferguson. Let's check out the case of Colin Ferguson. What in the world? This, okay, shooting. Railroad shooting. Okay, let's see if there's a news story about it. They're not acceptable. There's different motive. And you know, I'm opening myself up for criticism by saying that.
Well, we're learning more about a would-be attack on Baltimore's
because I don't know how no mass shooter thinks. I mean, regardless of their race or intention, I don't know how they think because I am not programmed to do something like that. I'm just not. Okay, what in the world? I want to get something sort of brief, maybe. Terror on the train. Okay, yeah. Let's hear this one.
The person who committed this crime is an animal.
His head bowed and his hands shackled, 35-year-old Colin Ferguson of Brooklyn was taken from police headquarters to his arraignment. The unemployed man, born in Kingston, Jamaica, said nothing during the brief proceeding at Nassau District Court.
Okay, he wasn't Black American. This wasn't no Black American. This was a Jamaican. Ain't that what they just said? Ain't that what they just said? This ain't no Black American. You know, Colin Ferguson? Oh, yes. Yeah, this man, I heard about him years ago. Crazy story. Oh, sorry about that.
Hands shackled, 35-year-old Colin Ferguson of Brooklyn was taken from police headquarters to his arraignment. The unemployed man, born in Kingston, Jamaica, said nothing during the brief proceeding at Nassau District Court.
He had no remorse over what he did. One of his first questions to us was how many people were dead. And then he wanted to talk about why he didn't get a B in a college course he was taking, because it was racist. And we would try to bring him back to what took place on the train. And he would try to talk about the problems he was having with the job that he recently got injured on. And he wanted workman's compensation, how they had flim-flammed him and conned him into accepting a certain amount. When Ferguson got on the train, he took the absolute perfect seat. for him for what he was planning on doing. The very rear of the train, he took his weapon, he stepped to the aisle, and the first person he shot was sitting in the seat directly opposite him. He's walking down the aisle, turning into each row, firing at people on the ground. As I said, there were times where someone would be lying on top of someone else, and both would be hit by the same bullet. He turned to go back, to return to his seat here, where he would have gotten the clips, and 3 men, right from this area, jumped him and wrestled him to the ground right by between these 2 seats.
Now listen, this guy was Jamaican. I can't speak for him. But generally, black Americans, we don't let racism get to us like that, which is part of the reason why we've been able to tolerate it for so long and be resistant to it. For the most part, we don't let it get to us to a point where it drives you crazy. This guy, according to Colin Ferguson, he started talking about the racism that he had experienced. And it drove him crazy. You know, there have been a lot of cases of people driven insane. Would this not qualify as one of them? I mean, if we acknowledge racism as a stressor, well, there are some imbalanced people who just can't take that type of stress. And it drives them to do something that they totally should not do. See, we understand that the way to respond to racism is not to kill or attack innocent people. We know that that's just not how to go about things. But some people who are not from here, they come here, and for some reason, they don't think they're going to experience racism. You know, they think it's a figment of black Americans' imagination, and they come over here and they see it for real. Some of them, and they most likely they were sick before, long before. They've been sick all their life, most likely. Or they could have been very troubled people who were abused. Usually these types of people got some type of trauma in their past. You see, and we got to talk about stuff like this because we don't want a world where people would do stuff like this. We don't want a world where people will be even driven crazy. We don't want either one. But the racism that has come from white America, from my experience, I'm from America, I've been here my whole life, is different. It's different from what would be called racism from black people. With the white supremacists, and these people are terrorists, man. Even if they haven't committed something, they're online, they're thumbing up, they're liking, they are enjoying the stories where, harm has been done to black people somewhere. They're just as guilty. These are terrorist people. These are sick people who get off on harming people. And we don't get down like that. We just don't get down like that. We down with defending ourselves and fighting back against people who coming at us. But not just no random innocent people. Okay? This is another reason why we need our own state. Okay? But again, this dude was not no black American. He was a Jamaican. I hate to have to say that. I hate that part, but we're talking culture. And I know you don't consider black Americans Jamaicans. Okay, so I can't speak for this guy. Can't speak for him. We got to accept the fact that racism was an idea that came out of the mind of people who considered themselves religious leaders. And they literally sanctioned the enslavement of black people. Lifetime of enslavement. The only reason I would want to discuss that is to explain to you why I am owed a check. Why I'm owed a check. I believe I come from a strong lineage of people. I personally believe, my family, my direct bloodline, I believe I come from strong people who would have been ballers, definitely self-sufficient. Because I come from a family of extremely hard workers. Extremely hard workers. My granddad worked a year once without a day off, 7 days a week for a whole year. We wasn't allowed, like growing up, we don't grow up. I don't know where this lazy stereotype ever came from. I wasn't even allowed to watch cartoons for too long early Saturday morning. After a while, they'd be like, get up, go clean up, go outside, go do something. I would get some type of chore and I would have to stay busy doing something, being constructive for a great part of the day, every day. Every day. And I may have had ancestors who were very good workers, who could have at least passed the flipping home down to me. You know how happy I'd be right now? If I inherited anything. Anything. So millions of families have been robbed like that. Millions. That's a grave injustice. Yeah, we're crazy. Yeah, we're traumatized or whatever. Okay, now admit that we're being terrorized as well. Admit that we're owed a debt as well and our own land as well. Admit that too, while you're admitting everything else. Yeah, we crazy. So that means we need to go in the corner to ourselves and fix ourselves. Okay, cut that check. Let's stop talking. Cut that check. Listen, man, we got to get serious with this. We can't lose focus with this. We've never had this much momentum with reparations, ever. And I've just been dying to lay into these people. You want to have a discussion on whether or not we are owed reparations? I mean, I'm offended that you even want a discussion about that. That's offensive. And other groups have already gotten reparations who were not generationally enslaved. They got reparation. See, they're very reluctant to give Black Americans reparations because they know that they harmed a great number of us. Each and every family on a generational scale. The debt is hard to measure. No group has been that robbed. Not that robbed. I'm talking like financially. Okay, let's stay focused. I know a lot of people think I'm talking about emotion, like, oh, no, my people are strong. That's why we're still here and still having this discussion. We don't have no problem having this discussion. Okay, but it's highly offensive for anybody. Yeah, anybody to say Black Americans are not owed reparations. That's highly, especially seeing that reparations have been given to other groups. Let's not do that. Let's not go there. Okay? And I'll support any other group in any of their endeavors, as we always have. Black Americans have always gotten behind people of other countries in their rallies. We've gotten behind the Chinese a whole lot of groups, the Vietnamese. We went over there, helped them learn how to fight off the invaders coming into their countries. We've looked out for other people, man. And people act like it's disgusting to look out for us. No. Cut that check. Cut that check. I don't want to have no discussion about no emotions and how I feel. I feel broke. How about that? Cut that check. Out here giving trillions of dollars to people just here. Just take it. Whole families of people just giving them all kinds of money. You talking about?
This is a new idea that seems to have a lot of support here at the Capitol. It would be a bill that would enable communities of color to be able to buy a home, something that state law used to prevent. In developments that were built before...
You hear that? This is their version of reparations. Racist covenants kept families of color from building generational wealth. This bill aims to offset that. A $100 fee on home purchases would create an account that would fund down payments. So they're going to give you a loan that you got to pay back. Oh, your great-grandfather, great-grandparents moved to this state when there was segregation. Okay, that was wrong. We're going to give you a loan that you got to pay back, that we're ultimately going to benefit from. That's your reparations. See how every chance they get, they slap black Americans in the face. And I don't know what makes them think we not going to call this out. This ain't no reparations. What is you talking about? Listen to this.
In 1950, it was commonplace to have racist restrictions limiting who could live in certain areas. That practice was outlawed in the 1960s, but the language still exists in many covenants today. A reminder that no one other than the white race could live where they wanted to. Those bans denied communities of color their generational wealth, the kind of thing that can come from home ownership. A bill in Olympia would create a new $100 fee tacked onto all new home purchases to provide down payments to the same people that were once held back from buying a home.
Today, what we are...
Down payments. These cheap bastards can't even purchase you a home. Can't even give you the money that's equivalent to the cost of a home. Really? And they're giving trillions to all kinds of groups, not only through reparations, just giving them money. Here, you in trouble? Here. Stop this. Stop it. You could have been compensated black Americans easy, and it would not have harmed anybody. You hear people out here, why should my kids suffer? Nobody's suffering now. Nobody's ever suffered, and people have gotten reparations out of our tax dollars. What are you talking about? And if we got our reparations, you better believe this economy is going to experience a boom. A mighty boom. Not going to be hurt. Your kid's going to benefit. Most likely, looking at how so many black people going to run straight to Walmart, straight to the local salon and hair store. There's going to be a great deal of black people. And there's nothing we can do to stop them. What are we going to do? Nothing we can do to stop them. Are you kidding? It's at that point that a lot of people going to move here, bring their family over here. Oh, they're really going to be balling then. What you talking about? The business owners are not complaining. They won't have no complaints. I can guarantee you that. Don't talk like it's a problem with us getting what's owed to us. We built this country that everybody leeching off of and want to come to. You talking about
to do with this bill is enable government who has been responsible for creating a lot of the discriminatory policies to actually remedy the wrong.
The history lives on in many ways. It lives on in ways that I think are measured in decreased life expectancy, that are measured in lesser black.
Man, these people are not even black Americans. This woman got up here with an accent. Am I tripping? Wasn't that an accent?
Or creating a lot of the discriminatory policies to actually remedy the wrong.
The history.
What the hell? They got some Somalians up here representing black Americans. Got some immigrants. What the hell is this? See, other groups don't tolerate stuff like that. They don't tolerate you. Nigerians in Nigeria are not going to tolerate them projecting black Americans as Nigerians. Are you kidding? Especially in a situation like this where you speaking for Nigerians in Nigeria as if you're a Nigerian. Are you kidding? Other groups don't tolerate this, man. Wow, what type of buffoonery is this? Olympia, Washington. Olympia, Washington? What the hell is this, dude? Okay, let's finish. I'm sorry. I'm tripping. Let's finish this.
It lives on in many ways. It lives on in ways that I think are measured in decreased life expectancy, that are measured in lesser black net worth from a financial perspective.
We've seen that the compounding of all of these practices, policies, and laws have led to where we are right now. We are not making traction.
That's the bill's prime sponsor. She says this would not be a cash handout. It would be a loan given to someone to help them buy a home, but that loan would have to be paid back when the home is later sold. And it would only be eligible to those who have or are descendants of someone who moved here in the state before 1968, when those covenants were deemed illegal.
So it's for people who moved to Washington before 1968. How many black people did that? And I'm not going to talk right now because I don't know how many black people over in Washington. Seattle's over there in Washington, right? Yeah. It's not a heavy black. There's a sizable black population. They're black communities in Seattle, from what I understand. We migrated there too. Okay, so it only applies to Washington. It's just a loan and you got to pay it back. That's your reparations. No, I want a check cut. A check in my name, deposited in my account. And I want you to tell me where my land is. My land where I can put my home on top of. That's what I want. That's what I deserve. That's what we deserve. Okay? They're not even trying to negotiate with us. They don't even say, hey, okay, look, all black Americans who have worked 5 years or more get reparations. You want reparations? You got to work at least 5 years. They don't even try to negotiate. Well, nothing. It's just flat out nothing. And when they do give you something, it's a hug or something goofy and worthless like this. A loan about to put you in debt that they're going to benefit off of. That is insulting. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. The disrespect. It is jaw-dropping, man. Oh my. This is terrible. And you know, there's some people who view people like me who talk like this, who saying these types of things, as so evil. You know, they view what I'm saying as so evil and wrong, and you know, which just lets you know how out of touch they are with simple reality. You know, this is a simple debt. It's not rocket science. I mean, this is a massive crime on a massive scale. And that's where a lot of the hostility comes from. And for people robbed like that, why on earth would there still be groups of people out here who want to commit terrorist attacks against people who already been robbed beyond belief already? What are we talking about, man? Now, what is this? Show you what my ancestors did to your kind. Racist video stirs outrage at Tennessee boarding school. What? Okay.
All new at 11.
Okay, wait a minute. This surfaced today.
School taking swift action after seeing video riddled with profanity defaming a former U.S. president spoken by a substitute teacher.
And that video was sent directly to 11 Alive by a viewer. 11 Alive's Don White is live outside Centennial High School in Roswell with what the district had to say when we sent them that video. Don?
That video has quickly circulated online, and the school district gave me a copy of the letter that the principal sent home to parents saying that teacher has been fired. And just hours ago, I spoke to the vice president of the Atlanta NAACP to get his reaction.
When I was in high school, I was learning about Obama, you know, increasing drone strikes in my country. You know, that pissed me off.
It's very disturbing, the language that was being used in a classroom.
What? Wait a minute.
CP to get his reaction.
When I was in high school, I was learning about Obama, you know, increasing drone strikes in my country. You know, that pissed me off.
It's very disturbing, the language that was being used in a classroom.
That language
Obama.
used by a substitute teacher in this classroom at Centennial High School.
School is not the place to have that type of vitriol conversation with young people. So that's why we're concerned. And then, you know, the definite racist overtones that was coming out were very, very concerning.
He bombed the shit out of my people.
The teacher was heard in this expletive-laced lesson, making racially disparaging remarks about former U.S. President Barack Obama and directed to students.
No generation of young people should be subjected to a hostile environment where they're made to feel unsafe and uncomfortable.
The Fulton County School spokesperson sent 11 Alive this statement, saying in part, "We expect all members of our school community."
I mean, there has to be some, even white people, who get tired of hearing stories like this. Don't you get tired of hearing stories like this? Isn't it exhausting? So you should support. You should support it. Most definitely. Say, hey, you want to live in a world where this doesn't happen. Every time you turn around the corner, there's something going on.
Subjected to a hostile environment where they're made to feel unsafe and uncomfortable.
The Fulton County School spokesperson sent 11 Alive this statement, saying in part, "We expect all members of our school community, students, and adults to treat others with dignity and respect." Unfortunately, this morning, a Fulton County substitute working today at Centennial made comments that go against what we represent as a school. The district fired the substitute teacher.
Stop it. Listen. If there were a sect of black people who constantly launch these crazy types of attacks on just random white people, I would support this. I would say, hey, we just need to separate. You need to have the option to live to yourself. This is the direction where we should have went in 1967. This is where we should have went in 1967. we made a huge mistake. Huge mistake. Completely put ourselves at the mercy of the system. All of our businesses crumbled, just crumbled, and were never really restored. Now, there are a number of black businesses thriving in this country right now. I don't like this talk where black people have no businesses and we're the only people who don't have no business. We have businesses, several business people, just like any other group of people. That is frustrating how people carry on with that stereotype. You know, black people don't have no businesses. You know, there are several thriving black businesses. Okay, but we should have the option to govern ourselves the way we see fit. That is all I'm saying. Just like any group should have the option. That's why I say, because there's a sizable portion of the white population who would live there, who would want to move there. An all-white state, and you get your own government. I mean, we should have these types of discussions. Throw ideas out there. We are the people. We're the people. Now, I found that a lot of white nationalists agree with me. Over the years, I've had a lot of white nationalists contact me and inform me that they totally agree, because it's all about doing the right thing. It's not so much about racism or doing something mean or evil or immoral. It's about doing something smart. Doing something smart. It's the goal is a peaceful world. That's the goal. And if there are people who just can't take living around another group of people, it's to the point where they feel like they have to launch attacks on them, attack whole city populations of them. Yeah, those types of people might be better off in a white state. Do you hear what I'm saying? That might be the perfect solution for this type of white racist terrorism. That might be the perfect solution. If nobody else moved there to an all-white state, they would. They would have no excuses. No excuses. Don't say nothing else about, I don't want to hear nothing else about black people. Now, find something else to talk about. There are no black people living in your country. None. People, I know this sounds wrong, but it doesn't matter what it sounds like. It makes sense. All that matters is that it makes sense. And we need a solution to the race problem. If we're not willing to venture into areas that we haven't been, then we're not thinking. We're not thinking like we're supposed to. Okay? We're supposed to be throwing ideas like this out here. What other solution do you have? Obviously, Black History Month ain't working. We've had Black History Month for how many decades now? African American studies. People know our history. Now, what new ideas you got? We've been teaching Black history for a long time. It hasn't worked. What's your next idea? Nothing else to do. Let's do something practical, man. Now, why did I stop this?
And reported him to HR. Still, Gerald Griggs with the Atlanta NAACP says the organization will take action, contacting the school board.
We understand that they've taken swift action, and we believe that was appropriate, but we still are concerned that that level of political rhetoric that is damaging was being used in the school in front of young people.
School administrators...
That dude was a lunatic. How did he even make it to be a substitute teacher? He's clearly a lunatic. They had to have seen that. You see, but in this country, people are so adapted to crazy people, they can't even spot them out no more.
Obama, increasing drone strikes in my country, that pissed me off.
It's very disturbing.
Man, are you kidding? You hear how dumb this guy sounds? There's no way he sounded intelligent during that interview to get that job, whatever he do. There's no way he sounded like he had good sense. Did you hear this? This is a high school. Did you hear what he said?
I was learning about Obama, increasing drone strikes in my country. That pissed me off.
It's very disturbing, the language that was being used in a classroom.
That language
Obama.
used by a substitute teacher in this classroom at Centennial High School.
School is not the place to have that type of vitriol conversation with young people. So that's why we're concerned. And then, the definite racist overtones that was coming out were very, very concerning.
He bombed the shit out of my people.
The teacher was heard in this expletive-laced lesson, making...
What in the world? Social media is producing a lot of crazy people. Nobody could even get up in front of class and talk like that, man. Nobody talked like that. I went to a lot of different schools, man. A whole lot of different schools, right? Mostly black schools, but when I was in high school, I went to 2 different white high schools. Nobody talked like this in none of my schools, man. White, black, whatever. This is crazy. That is crazy. Now look at this. This article was published today. 51% of women experience racism at work. Skin tone affects experiences of racism. Women with darker skin tones are more likely to experience racism at work. So, the more different you are, the more racism you experience. Okay. That's nothing to panic about. It's nothing to panic about. Just be cool. It's not a big deal. It's not that serious. Okay, we're organisms, and different types venture off to themselves. Maybe it's just a natural thing. Maybe some of it, I'm not talking about these lunatics, these sick people. People may be a little in the middle. You gravitate towards your own people. All people are like that. That's why most people, even in integrated societies, primarily mate with people within their own race. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a white woman saying that she'd never date a black guy. Or a black woman says she'll never date a white guy. Black man, never date a white woman. White man, never date. Or marry. Maybe some would date but not marry. There are some like that. They'll date, they'll, have fun with them, but would never bring them home to the family. Why? Because there'd be problems. There'd be conflict. Relationships are hard enough as is. Even with people of the same race. Relationships in general, friendships, romantic relationships, all types of relationships are hard enough as is. Why throw the extra stressor of race into the pot? Why? That's just not smart. At least experiment with a all-black state, all-white state. Do a 10-year experiment or something. Think about that. Maybe there's no way to fix this. Stop saying that there's a lot of work to do. You will never be specific and talk about the work because you have no ideas. That's just rhetoric. It's babble. It's just, you know, a catchphrase, something that makes people feel good. You know, those a lot of phrases like that. People just say it because it feels good to say. It sounds good, but it's not realistic, man. It's not realistic. There are always going to be people out here, and those people should be catered to. Just like, look, I don't like dogs, and the people who don't like dogs should be catered to. We should have our own neighborhoods, our own part of this earth. We should. You know, this blanket approach for the population is dangerous. It's dangerous. Okay, there are a lot of sick. These are terrorists, even according to the FBI. Okay, terrorists. But in general, look, not all racists are terrorists. They may support terrorist behavior, which is dangerous, especially online. And a lot of them do. But they can still be extremely dangerous and contribute to things in society that harm black people. It's even like, it's difficult for them not to. It only makes sense for them to promote themselves as the standard of everything. It only makes sense. It's a natural thing to do. As a matter of fact, you can't help it. If you want to choose the most beautiful women, well, if it's a bunch of white guys choosing the most beautiful women, most likely it's going to be mostly white women, or sometimes all white women. It's not so much racist. It's not racist. You know, you just connect with, you relate to, like features, history, culture, vibe, chemistry. You know, people within the same group, they have the same basic energy, same sense of humor, all kind of stuff. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be exclusive to your group. I'm telling you, Black Americans going to be like all other ethnic groups, just trying to survive in their little village, trying to survive on the outskirts. Man, it's looking bad right now. It's looking bad. Listen, I'm speaking as a person who lived from 1977 to now. Very shortly after integration, 10 years after integration, I was born. So I see this pattern, man. I see where this is headed. Nothing is changing. And even all while I grew up, there was always something. Riots here, riots there. Just constant chaos. This is what affects black kids' mind. Like they were talking about in that article. I don't think I showed it on this channel. They wrote an article. I'll share it later. Neo-Nazi sentenced to jail for attack on home of anti-racist activists. How many of y'all heard about this? Listen to this. Asian student, 18, stabbed multiple times in the head in a racist attack. Oh boy. Now wait a minute. Here we go, right here. Right here. This happened, was a few weeks ago. Oh boy. What in the world? The 13-year-old girl stabbed too.
A woman now faces attempted murder charges after stabbing an Indiana University student multiple times. We're told the student is recovering, and now there's concern it was a hate crime. So take a look at your screen. Court documents reveal Billy Davis admitted to targeting the 18-year-old student because the student was Asian. Our Logan Gay spoke with the president of the Asian American Alliance following this incident.
For some on the campus of IU right now, there's a feeling of fear.
This is so scary. We are not safe even on the street.
Listen, white listeners out there, if you know of some stories where there are Black American terrorists launching massive attacks, just randomly shooting white, let me know. Because every time I try to research racist attacks, this is all that comes up. Let me know, because I'm going to use that as ammunition as well of why we need our own state. That people need to have this option. You want to make America greater than it has ever been? Give us our land, and we have to govern it. We have to govern it. All right, both of them, how we want, apart from how the rest of the country is governing the country. Okay, because we're going to get rid of a whole lot of stuff. All these crazy satanic cults going out the window. And it won't have no more influence on our music. You destroyed our music, made it mandatory for them to integrate this Aleister Crowley and satanic rituals and blood sacrifices. People are killing family members and close friends, forcing these poor people, not forcing them, but getting people from poverty just because they can rap, offering all this money only if they participate in this sickness. And it always made it mandatory for you to pump certain messages into the music. Made it mandatory. If you didn't talk about blowing some Negro's brains out somewhere, you wasn't getting no record deal. You better go off in the corner, write some new rhymes, come back when you want to obey, when you want to make some money. Okay, a lot of them did that. But I'm telling you, under our own influence, we wouldn't have corrupted hip hop like that. Why you think we came out with self-destruction? That let you know there was an element of us who wasn't down with the nonsense. Right? Destroyed our music. Hip hop is a treasure of a music that we invented by ourselves. Okay? And be honest, truth be told, destroyed R&B. The Stevie Wonder of the 60s wasn't quite the Stevie Wonder of the 70s, 80s, especially 80s. He got more commercial. They started to incentivize you becoming more and more commercial. Funk was really a pushback from all of that. What I've noticed, not to digress, what I've noticed, left alone, we do our best work. Let's finish this. I'll come back to that.
There's a feeling of fear.
This is so scary. We are not safe even on the streets. We are not safe in the workplace. And it's just a very discomforting feeling.
The president of the Asian American Alliance says the recent attack against an Asian American student on a Bloomington bus has left the community shaken.
So it's much harder, I think, for students, to grapple with this tragedy that, oh my gosh, how am I going to go to classes tomorrow.
The injured student, who's from Carmel, was stabbed multiple times in the head while waiting to get off the bus. Police say cameras from inside the bus show the victim and the suspect, Billy Davis, had no interaction.
This woman was 56 years old enough to be a grandmother. You started stabbing an 18-year-old? And she did it because she was Asian. What?
Before the attack.
So this is an...
Wait, whoa. Let's back that up.
Bus show the victim and the suspect, Billy Davis, had no interaction before the attack.
So this is an attack by one American on another American.
According to the IU website, more than 6,000 Asian students attend the university. Tanawala says this attack is proof the country still has a lot of work to do to combat racism.
I think we have normalized...
Oh, stop. You have access to all of the websites that host these circles of white supremacist terrorists. And they are free to say whatever they want, have whatever types of discussions they want. They're free to feed that hatred and fuel it. You don't remove it. You don't prevent them from having that type of dialogue. So you obviously, it's being encouraged. It's being encouraged. They have Stormfront. They have 4chan, 8chan, all these other websites. They have these activists out here pushing this. They have all types of books and whatnot to fuel their doctrine, their rhetoric. This is sanctioned terrorism. It's sanctioned terrorism. And it's us seeing the world as it is what causes us stress. That's what stresses us out. Okay? No, we're not going to walk around being dumb.
Hate crimes in this community, that people have become insensitive to such a huge problem that we are. It's a disease in this country.
City and university leaders are now condemning this week's attack. IU's Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Multicultural Affairs shared counseling services for faculty and staff, and in a statement said in part, to our Asian and Asian American friends, colleagues, students, and neighbors, we stand firmly with you.
Now, even though you're in your white state, you can leave. You can go visit your black friend in America or maybe in the black state. We have to work all that out later. You know, maybe there'll be no coming in and out. You know, that might be a terrorist threat. We're not going to allow one of these lunatics in here pretending like they got a black friend. Oh, yeah, I got a black buddy down the street. No. You know, tight security. Airtight security. Huh? You can leave. You can go visit your white buddy. You can FaceTime. You can Zoom chat. Do all that. You don't have to just not have anything to do with people of other races. It's just that where you reside, you know, is different. That's just a smart thing to do. You can't deny that. It's smart, and it would help. It would help. You know, let's do what makes sense. What are you going to give me, an emotional lecture? Well, that's so immoral. That's so wrong. No, we can't do that. No, we can't divide the people. We can't separate the people. No, we have to stay together. We have to stay together. You know, some abusive people talk like that. There are abusive people out in the world who talk just like that. Stay with me. Don't leave me. We can work it out. We can work it out. We can work it out. All the time, knocking you upside the head. And after each lump, we can work it out. No, we can't be separated. Let's stop that. That's madness. Let's stop that. Let's stop that. Now, for whatever reason, there is a burning hatred for Asians in this country as well, particularly Chinese. And I think it comes from their hatred of communism. I really don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But it is burning hot in this country. And they are also targeted. Okay? Now, if they want their own state, hey, they could probably lobby for that. As long as I have my black state, nation, land, whoever want their own, hey, knock yourself out. Okay? But this is a sickness. This is it. And listen, this is very important that we talk about this. That this does not stem from hatred.
A woman now faces
This does not stem from hatred. You know, the bigger the problem, the more motivation you should have to find a solution. And I'm dealing with the biggest problem ever. You know, a lot of people scared to talk about serious problems. I noticed that on this earth. The biggest problems makes people the most reluctant to talk about them. So they remain sort of become reinforced over time because it goes unchecked. Obviously, if you don't even want to recognize it, you're not going to do anything to minimize it. It's a destructive behavior in this country, man. And listen, man, I'm tired of trying, wishing and hoping. Just cut my check. Cut my check, leave me alone. Okay, because it's time for a change. As time goes on, it gets worse and worse. Now, what was this? This was about, okay, it's about Colin Ferguson. Now, there was something else that I had to show here. At least I thought it was. Do not fear white people. Their time has passed. What? What? What is this? President. Racist. Oh, I don't know what that is. But anyway, like I was saying, listen, I've noticed black Americans do their best work when they're left alone. We thrive most when we're left alone. And we do incredible things when we're left alone. Integration, it reduces black people's creativity in a way, seems to. I don't know how. A lot of it has to do with forced commercialism, where everything is turning into pop, and it has to be popish before it can even be played on the radio. But the best music that black people created was the music they created when it was not under the influence of the industry, the music industry. Okay? That's when we make our best music, hands down. It's not even close. It's not even a discussion. Once it leaves our circles, then it goes downhill. They basically destroyed. You can't even call this rap music no more. I don't know what this is. It's been destroyed by these big money corporations, these owners of these big multi-million-dollar companies. They demand that these rappers push this type of rhetoric to condition the young generation on, to make them behave in a certain way, a particular way. Encourage them, influence them to behave in a certain type of way. Basically, they've been practicing like witchcraft on the black population for several decades now. Straight up witchcraft. And it's primarily been done under rap music. Okay? I pointed out Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. Extremely successful, and it was made possible because of the strong Oklahoma Jim Crow laws. Very strict Jim Crow laws is where blacks did their best. So what does that tell you? A black state would thrive. It would most certainly thrive. Okay? There ain't no future with no nation. There's no future without a nation. There is no future. We're not even, like they said, like they pointed out, passing down homes. Or at one point, we couldn't even own homes. Then you had all these laws and, man, deindustrialization. The debt is massive. The debt is massive, and it has touched millions upon millions of families. Don't talk about justice on this earth without talking about that. That is an unpaid debt that needs to be resolved pronto. Okay? You want to have a discussion about reparations? Let's have the discussion. And I'm not speaking as no bum. I love to work. I don't feel right if I'm not working. I can't not work. I have to move around most of the day. I have to stay busy. Why you think I get on here and start babbling for so long? After working hard. I'm constantly busy. Nothing lazy about me. I'm just saying. Had none of this went on, I believe I'd be sitting swell right now. Swell. A lot better than I currently am. And I really don't have no complaints right now. I'm just saying, I'm in a position to complain about a debt. I'm not living on the streets. I ain't no bum who refused to work. I've been working for decades. You think I'm not supposed to want a debt that's actually owed to me? Listen, my people come from plantations, strictly, in America, Alabama, and Mississippi. I'm full-blooded Black American. My people is owed a debt. We come from the gutter, the trenches of the black community here in the United States. Our people owed a debt. And we're not going to sit back and allow silently while people try to project us or treat us like slaves. I don't think so. Cut that check and we can hug later. Yeah? That is all for this live stream. I will see you all on the next.